Lewis Hamilton didn't win at Imola in 2025. He didn't stand on the top step of the podium, nor did he collect a winner's trophy, but when he crossed the finish line in fourth place, something far more important happened. He reminded the world why he is still one of the greatest drivers to ever sit in a Formula One car, in a Ferrari that still struggles for balance and pace. Hamilton managed to deliver a performance that felt like a win. He wasn't starting from pole. He wasn't cruising in clean air. He was fighting from 8th on the grid in a car that continues to frustrate and confuse. And that's what made this comeback special. It was raw. It was honest. It was Hamilton doing what he's always done best, racing from the heart. When the lights went out at the start of the Imola Grand Prix, few expected much from Hamilton. Ferrari had been struggling all weekend to find one-lap speed, and Hamilton could only manage P8 in qualifying. For most of the season, that kind of starting position meant a long, quiet Sunday, but not this time. Right from the start, something looked different. Hamilton was aggressive but smart, calm but quick. It wasn't just about overtaking cars. It was about finding rhythm, finding the edge, finding belief, lap after lap. Hamilton clawed his way up the order, making passes stick and holding off faster cars. And as he did it, the atmosphere shifted. The grandstands packed with Ferrari fans started to roar every time the red number 44 made a move. This wasn't just racing. This was a statement. After the race, Hamilton didn't celebrate like someone who had just finished fourth. He spoke like someone who had just rediscovered his fire. It feels so much better than starting first and finishing first, he said. And it wasn't just a throwaway line. It was the truth. For Hamilton, this race wasn't about numbers. It was about feeling, about control, about showing that he still had the fight, even if the car didn't always give him the tools to win. He talked about how he loved coming through the pack, how it reminded him of his early days in karting and GP2, how it brought back that raw edge that defined him long before the championships and records. Imola gave us something we hadn't seen in a while, a glimpse of vintage Hamilton, the version of him that doesn't just win, but claws his way back from the edge, the version that refuses to give up, even when the odds are against him, and in doing so, he didn't just score points, he earned respect. Inside the Ferrari garage, outside in the paddock, across the grandstands, and through millions of screens around the world, people saw a Hamilton that wasn't fading. He was rising. This performance came at a critical time. The season so far had been messy for Ferrari. Despite bringing upgrades and showing flashes of promise, the team continued to fall short when it mattered most. One-lap pace was poor, race pace was inconsistent, strategies were questionable, and the harmony inside the team felt shaky. Hamilton's relationship with his race engineer had shown signs of tension. In previous races, the car's handling was unpredictable. Even the energy in the garage felt uncertain. But none of that mattered on race day in Imola. Hamilton tuned it all out. He focused on the car beneath him, found grip where others didn't, and pushed through the pack. For once, the strategy worked. The tire wear held. The balance stayed stable. And Hamilton, despite everything, delivered Ferrari's highest finish of the weekend. He didn't just beat his rivals, he beat the problems. He beat the noise. He beat the doubt. His comments after the race painted a clear picture. It felt so much better. He said, "I was able to push, get into a rhythm, and finally extract what I knew was in the car." That sentence alone says everything. The performance had always been there, it just hadn't come out. And that day, it did. Hamilton wasn't just driving with speed. He was driving with belief, with purpose. It's easy to forget sometimes just how difficult it is to adapt to a new team, especially a team like Ferrari. The pressure is different. The expectations are heavier. The culture is unique. And for Hamilton, joining Ferrari was never going to be just about driving. It was about building something, creating a bond, trying to make history with a team that hasn't tasted real success in years. But the journey has been far from smooth, from car troubles to internal politics. The challenges have been constant, and yet Hamilton hasn't folded. He hasn't pointed fingers. He hasn't lost the will to fight. In fact, Imola showed the opposite. It showed a driver still completely committed to the goal, still willing to go the extra mile, still motivated to turn things around. He admitted that the Ferrari still isn't where it needs to be, but he also said that weekends like Imola prove the team is heading in the right direction. And that's the key: progress, belief, trust in the long-term plan. Inside Ferrari, There's a lot to unpack. Charles Leclerc is still the future in many people's eyes. He's the driver they've supported, developed, and backed for years. Hamilton is the outsider, the superstar brought in to lead, to push, to deliver results. So when Hamilton finishes ahead on race day, especially on merit, it sends a message. A quiet one, but a strong one. And that message gets louder every time he pulls a result like this out of the car. There's no public rivalry between Hamilton and Leclerc. Not yet. But the tension is there. It's subtle, wrapped in respect and professionalism, but it exists. And moments like Imola will test it further. How long before team orders get involved? How long before one driver starts to feel favored over the other? These are the questions that Ferrari will have to answer, and they won't be easy. Team boss Fred Vasseur is under pressure too. He has to manage the top-level drivers, keep the engineers focused, deal with media pressure, and try to bring Ferrari back to the top. It's not an easy job, and with every race, the stakes get higher. Ferrari needs results. They need wins. They need belief, and Hamilton is trying to bring all of that. But even the best drivers need support. Hamilton can push, he can lead, he can motivate, but he can't fix everything alone. Ferrari needs to give him the tools, the upgrades, the stability, the trust. Because if they don't, all that potential will go to waste. And Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari to waste time. He came to win. That's why Imola matters so much. It wasn't about finishing fourth. It was about showing what's possible when things go right, when the car holds up, when the strategy works, when Hamilton gets a clean race. And even though it wasn't a podium, it felt like one. You could see it in his body language, in the way he smiled, in the way he spoke to the team after the race. There was energy again, connection, hope. The fans felt it too. Imola is Ferrari territory, and they embraced Hamilton. They cheered every overtake. They waved flags. They smiled when he crossed the line. Not because he won, but because he raced with heart, with passion, with everything Ferrari represents. And for the first time in a while, it felt like Hamilton and Ferrari were on the same page. Still, there's a long way to go. The car is not consistent. The pace is not always there. And the championship looks out of reach. But Imola was a reminder that there's more to Formula One than titles. There's pride. There's spirit. There's the fight. And Hamilton showed all of that. As the season moves forward, more questions will come. Can Ferrari find that extra step? Can the team keep both drivers happy? Can Hamilton keep delivering performances like this? There's no clear answer. But one thing is certain, he's not giving up. Not even close. If anything, he's getting stronger, more focused, more determined. At this stage in his career, Hamilton has nothing left to prove. He's done it all. The wins, the records, the titles. But he still races like he has everything to prove. That's what makes him great. That's what makes him different. And that's why this comeback at Imola meant more than any stat sheet could show. It meant belief in himself, in the team, in the project. And that belief might just be the secret to turning this season around. Not because it guarantees wins, but because it shows the fire is still burning. The mission is still alive, and Lewis Hamilton is still chasing something bigger than just a number. He's chasing a legacy, one that says he didn't just win when it was easy. He won when it was hard, when the car wasn't perfect, when the odds were stacked, when the world doubted. That's the Hamilton who showed up at Imola, and that's the Hamilton who might just write one more historic chapter before it's all said and done.